Okay, so I just started the recording. So for those of you who are watching the recorded version of this, we've already done a little bit, but we're going to start. The very first thing I want you to do is rate yourself where you are right now on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being that you hate it, 10 being that you love it, and I want you to rate all 4 of these categories: your body, your health, your fitness, and your relationship with food. Take a minute, pause the video to do that. For those who are watching this later. For those of you who are on live, we're going to move on right now. Sorry about that. I forgot to hit record when we started. So, okay. So the next thing that I want you to do, and we're still talking about where you are right now, is I want you to just flip the page over and I want you to write down what's not working for you. So you've already kind of given yourself a rating. You know where those categories are. Get really specific about what's not working. And you need to kind of step back at this and look at it objectively. So try not to be, try to look at this as like a friend looking in on your own life, right? Rather than, because we have a tendency to be really, really hard and overly critical on ourselves. And so in order to really know what's not working and be able to fix it, sometimes have to look at it more objectively, right? And so this is a kind of an opportunity where you can also really dump your feelings on the page. We like to call it like a feelings dump, or a journaling dump, where you can just let out some frustrations. I know a lot of us get really frustrated when it comes to losing weight, how we feel about our bodies, those kinds of things. And so you can let those negative feelings out on paper. It can be really therapeutic to do that. One of the things I don't want you to do is sit down and write all the excuses why it's not happening. So try, instead of being like, well, I don't have time to do this and I can't do this because of that, try to just be, again, objective. Like, I'm not getting enough exercise and I'm not getting enough healthy foods and I eat too much fast food, or whatever that is. Like, define it differently than I'm not capable, I can't, and because, my head, whatever. Just give you 1 more minute. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. You guys are welcome to come back to that later to finish it up if you want. So Annie's going to take us into step 2.
Okay. So now that we've gotten like really clear about, and like we've gained some clarity and gotten really like honest, maybe even a little bit vulnerable about where you are right now and what's not working in your health and weight loss efforts, let's flip that. So I want you to just picture, like, what is your ideal healthy version of yourself? Like, what does that woman look like, feel like, and really importantly, why is it important to you? It can be super powerful to release negative feelings on paper and get those out, but a really critical step is to then counter it with a positive vision of your future. So get really clear about what you want for your health and fitness success and what that would look like, and especially why it's so important. So now I want you to write down one thing you want to change in all of these categories: your body, your health, your fitness, and your relationship with your food. Just one thing in each category. Okay. And so now I want you to, sorry, something's popping up on my computer. Not sure what that is. Okay, so now I want you to think about why you want to make these changes. What would these changes do to change your life in all the areas of your life? Like, how would fitting into that pair of pants, if that's your goal, how would that affect your family, your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your girlfriends? Like, how would that change things for you in your life? How would, if your goal is to make it up a flight of stairs without being winded, what would that do for you? Like, how does that look and feel in your life when you make that change? And then the other thing I want you to think about is how long? How long have you been thinking about making this change? How long have you thought about it? How long have you tried and felt like you failed at it? How long has this been on your mind and you've been wanting to see these changes in your life? So now just close your eyes and imagine how it feels to have made these changes. How does it feel? Just like close your eyes and think about it for just a minute. How does it feel to have these changes done? Like, have been successful in these goals? So I want you to come back to this journaling exercise when you have some more time and fill in more details and feelings. This might bring some things to the surface, and then you can continue to process those. The reason we talk about the why so much, and we talk about it a lot, is because connecting your goals with the emotion behind them is going to really increase your chances of success when you're making those changes. And what you can do is you can keep asking the question why. So if your goal is to fit into a different size of pants, why? Well, because you want to feel more confident. Why do you want to feel more confident? You know what I mean? So you just keep asking that question why until you get to the raw emotional reason behind it. And then that way, when you're faced with well, I don't want to work out today, I'm tired, you have that emotional connection of why you're working towards this that will really push you towards that success. So.
All right. So we're going to actually change things up a little. Now we've kind of done the heavy part of this. Oh, Annie, sorry. I missed this slide, Annie. My bad. We're going to move into step 3, which is we're going to start talking about the food. And we're going to start talking about how you can look at food a little bit differently. Because food is crazy triggery thing, right? It's amazing how much it triggers us to in both directions, like Annie said. Sometimes maybe you're feeling something, like you're really happy and you're celebrating, or maybe you're really depressed and sad. So what do? You go for food, right? Or sometimes the other happens. You're eating something and it triggers an emotion. I'm eating something that makes me feel bad, or I'm eating something that makes me feel good. And so we're going to we want you to just shed that off right now. We're actually going to come back to the emotion on step 4, but for right now, I want you to release all of that. We're just going to look at food super objectively, right? We're just going to step back and take a look at this from a non-judgmental standpoint. And so in order to do that, we're actually going to teach you about the Fat Burn 5. And the Fat Burn 5 are just 5 basic categories that you can separate your food into. And so what I want you to do, well, first, let me just share the Fat Burn 5. So we've got 5 categories, basic categories. We got protein, fast carbs, slow carbs, condiment, and fats. And those are your Fat Burn 5, okay? So what I want you to do really quickly is open up another page, and I want you to just go through and write down the foods that you've eaten in the last 24 hours. And everything you can think of, whether it was a snack, whether it was an unintentional snack, whether it was, Cheetos from your kid's lunchbox, it doesn't matter. Just anything you can think of, I want you to write it on this list, okay? And nobody's going to be looking at your list. So don't be not putting stuff on there because you're like, Millie and Annie, I don't want them to know that I like snuck that cookie. I don't care. Just write it down. You don't have to share it with me. So then what we're going to do is once you've created this list, I'm going to take you through the Fat Burn 5. And what I want you to do off to the side is I want you to write down what categories those foods fit into, okay? So again, like there's no labels on this. Literally everything that you've eaten fits into one of those 5 categories, and I want to help you identify what they are. So the point of this exercise is for you to recognize what foods you are already eating and what they are, basically, okay? So let's start with protein. Look through that list, anything that fits into the protein category. And this is pretty self-explanatory. If you've tried diets before, you're pretty confident in knowing what proteins are. But any meats and seafoods, Greek yogurt and cottage cheese would be considered a protein. Yogurt and Greek yogurt are a little bit different, and I'll talk about that some. Eggs, most protein powders, there are a few exceptions to this rule, but most protein powders are a protein. Tofu and meatless products that are high in protein, or soybeans. One way to identify whether the food fits into the protein category is just if on the nutrition label it has the highest grams in protein, then fat and carbs, then it's considered a protein, okay? So kind of look through your list, see what, where you had protein. And if you had a meal that's a combination of lots of different things, that's okay. Just write a little P next to it. Like if you had a hamburger with a bun and stuff, write the P next to it, and we'll get to the other stuff so you can kind of add it in. So a fast carb is pretty much anything that you would consider to be a carbohydrate. Anything that would spike your blood sugar. So this would be bread, pasta, tortillas, oatmeal, rice, potatoes, any fruit. There's a few exceptions to this rule, but most of the fruit is all going to be a fast carb. So an apple, watermelon, bananas, all of those are fast carbs. Corn, and this one surprises people because a lot of times they think corn is a vegetable, but it's actually a grain. So corn is considered to be a fast carb. Milk, yogurt, ice cream, those are all fast carbs. And this is the case where the Greek yogurt is higher in protein. Highest in protein, and so that is counted as a protein. But yogurt, like regular Yoplait yogurt, that's going to be a fast carb, okay? Cookies, brownies, candy, any of that, that's a fast carb. So if you put some of those in your mouth yesterday, put fast carb next to it. You can you can abbreviate these and just put FC instead. If you had any soda or any juice or anything like that, go ahead and put fast carb next to it. If you have like sugar-free drinks, those are actually not considered a fast carb in this case, okay? Okay, so slow carbs are going to be any raw or cooked veggies. All beans are considered to be a slow carb, and then the fruit exceptions are grapefruit, apricots, and any berries. Those are considered to be slow carbs, okay? Yeah, that's a good question, Kayleen. So there is a difference between dried berries and fresh. Dried berries, because it changes its composition, when you take the juice out of it, it becomes a fast carb. So dried berries would be considered a fast carb. Okay, so if you had a salad or anything like that, just put SC next to it, right? If you had any veggies with your meal. And a condiment, again, is going to be pretty self-explanatory. Anything like barbecue sauce, gravy, pesto sauce, relish, sugar-free syrups, and regular syrups are all going to be in the condiment category. Tartar sauce, tomato, and spaghetti sauce, that's all considered a condiment.
Can I just add something real quick?
Yes.
So a lot of people ask us, if we get the question a lot of how have we like come up with these categories, or how are these what puts foods into these categories? And so the whole goal of the Fat Burn 5 is to stabilize our blood sugar and keep your body in fat burning mode instead of fat storage mode. So the way these are categorized is by how they affect your blood sugar. So that's all it is. It's not, like Millie said, not good or bad. It's just how they affect your blood sugar based on the glycemic index. So anyway, just FYI in case anyone's wondering about that.
Good call, Annie. Okay, so once you have that, then the fats, again, are pretty self-explanatory. Oils, butter, cheese, cream cheese, and sour cream are both considered fats. Avocado is a fat. Nuts and nut butters, peanut butter, those are actually considered fats. And, there's we get this a lot too, where like, well, couldn't that be considered a protein? That's the kind of stuff we get more into our program on how you can combine different fats and fast carbs and things like that that could complete a protein. But for the purposes of simplifying where you're at and just understanding which foods you're eating and what category they fit into, it makes it a lot easier to have a clear idea of like how to then balance it. And like Annie said, in a way that allows you to be in fat burning mode and not fat storage mode. Because when you stack fast carbs or you have too much fat against and not enough protein and things like that, that's when you push your body out of fat burning mode, okay? So now that you've kind of written those down and you have a good idea, you can look at that list and see, what you're eating and what that looks like. And so I'm just going to give you a couple of examples so you can see. If I were having just some steak and potatoes, then this would be a protein and a fast carb. Plain and simple. I've got some onions on my potatoes. Those could count as a slow carb. This is a fat burning meal right here all by itself because the slow carbs are optional. Now we're like, but please make them non-optional because they're so good for you. But technically this would be a fat burning meal and you could have this and you could have butter on the potatoes as your fat and you're still in fat burning mode, okay? You could have a salad, which would be your slow carb, and you could add dressing to the salad, and that would be your condiment and your salad. You could add steak sauce to the steak, that would be your condiment, right? So there's different ways that you could create a fat burning meal out of this. So this is just one example. This is one of my favorite examples right here. I love it because I'm like, hello, you can have pizza and be in fat burning mode. And we go over portions and portion sizes a lot more in our program, but you do have to stay within portion sizes if you want to stay in fat burning zone. But pizza, I mean, you've got pepperoni, which is your protein. You've got the fast carb, which is your crust. Green peppers or anything that you might add to that could be an optional slow carb. The cheese is your fat, and the condiment is your sauce, your pizza sauce. So that's a fat burning meal right there. So again, I just want you to bring it back to like what we're trying to do right now is simplify things. So keep it simple. Right here, these two options, they're both fast carbs. So if you had an apple yesterday, it's fast carb. If you had a donut, it was a fast carb. And we're trying to, in your mind right now, remove some of those labels of like, it's good for me, it's bad for me. And I'm not saying that like, if you had a choice that you should always choose the donut, but obviously there are benefits to having an apple over a donut right here. But for the purpose of getting out of that diet mentality, we want you to simplify things and just call it what it is. It's a fast carb or it's a slow carb, because if eating an apple will still affect your blood sugar like a fast carb does, okay? So let's move on.
Sorry, trying to unmute myself. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some feelings again. We realized after we set this up that I'm like all about the feelings today, which is fine. I like talking about stuff like that. So, okay, so now we've looked at food objectively, right? You've figured out which categories the foods you're eating fit into, and hopefully without judgment. And now we're going to talk about the emotional ties to food. Like, does food sometimes make you feel a little crazy? It's often associated with emotions, right? Like sometimes we're feeling sad or bored or angry or happy. Like we use food for everything. We use it to celebrate. We use it at birthday parties, like pick an emotion, and I bet you can like pick a time when you've had food to like celebrate or swallow that emotion, right? So that's why we're focusing so much on the emotions around food, because unless you can like get those two figured out and put together, it's going to be really hard to sustain any weight, health, change, success. So there's also, like Millie was talking about a little bit, we label our food, good, bad, I'm good for having it, I'm bad for having it. We add this guilt and shame to the foods we're eating. We also label ourselves good for eating food. Like if we eat a salad and we're like, oh, I'm doing something really great, I'm eating a salad, or I'm really bad because I'm eating this donut, so I'm going to eat it really fast. There's just, like I said, so many emotions going into the foods we're eating. So now I want you to look at the list from yesterday's food, and like maybe have you noticed some emotions that have already started creeping in? Take note of those emotions as they've come in. If you're like still having those insights, make sure you're taking note of that. Write those things down if you want. We had this lady in our 5-day challenge who loved potatoes. And she, after going through this process, she reached for a bag of potatoes and realized like, oh, and she noticed the feeling that she immediately had about eating potatoes was, this is bad. I shouldn't be eating potatoes, right? Like that's such a natural response. And we've conditioned ourselves to think that way. So now we have to like undo all of that. But what she did was she hesitated, she stopped for a minute, and she said, no, it's not bad, it's just a fast carb. So she counted it as her fast carb in her meal, and she was able to like portion it out and have a little less potatoes than she was originally thinking she would have. And by doing that and just labeling it as a fast carb instead of something bad that she shouldn't be eating, she was able to eat the potatoes, enjoy them, and she felt totally satisfied with that. And the best part is she didn't feel any guilt about it. So that's our goal here, is that you learn how to look at food in a way that it can bring you joy again instead of just all these other emotions that tear at you. So what I want you to do now is write down your observation on how those foods made you feel before and after. Like, what emotional attachment do you have to these foods that you're eating? And again, be objective about this. You're not looking to beat yourself up. You're just learning a new way to look at food and a few things about yourself and your relationship with food so that you can create that long-term sustainable change that we talked about. So I think we're done talking about feelings for now, and we can move on.
Okay, so now, I mean, basically what we're hoping that we've accomplished, again, in a really short period of time, realizing that typically what we've been doing with this spans over, each step is an entire day. And so this allows people to log their foods and like do that mental calculation of like fast carb, slow carb, or whatever as they're eating their meals throughout the day. So we encourage you to do that. Like, log your foods over the next few days. And as you do, kind of do what that girl did, like with the potatoes. Like, as you go to eat a meal, try to imagine that's not, that it's not bad or good. It's just a fast carb, slow carb, and allow yourself to have those things. Keeping in mind that you try to have a portion of each of those. And if you don't have a fat or condiment, that's okay, but you want to have at least a protein, slow carb, fast carb if you can, okay? And we get, again, in our program, we get a lot more into like snacks, and I mean, there's a lot more to it that we don't have time to work out all in one masterclass. But just taking that one step over the next couple of days, if you were to log your foods and just start to look at it more objectively like this, I think you would realize, number one, that you have so much more power and control over your food choices than you thought you did. And that having that deprivation mindset can really set you up for overeating. Because what happens when we start to tell ourselves that we can't have certain foods is we basically end up eating too much of it, right? Because you're like, I can't have this, I'm not supposed to have it, I shouldn't have it, and then pretty soon you've just eaten 3 portions and you feel like crap because it's way too much for your body and you didn't need that much and you didn't really even enjoy it because you were so consumed by feelings of guilt. And so by letting that go, you allow yourself to have have good food in a portion that your body can process it efficiently, okay? So now we're going to give you our little action tool step that we told you about in the beginning, which is when you do feel that draw toward foods that kind of make you feel a little bit crazy, right? Whether you're PMS or you're just like, I just want to put my whole face into a bag of potato chips, like that kind of feeling, like we're going to walk you through a step on how to get through that. So it's called HIP. And the first step is want you to hesitate. So we've mentioned this before with the gal with the potatoes. Like if you just hesitate, right? You see, let's just pretend like it's a plate of brownies sitting there and they're just staring you down from across the room. Just hesitate for a second and think about it. Ask yourself a few questions like, do I really want to eat that right now? Like, do I really want it? Or is it just because it's there and I'm not supposed to have it? Is that why I'm drawn to it? And so ask yourself, is this something that I really need? When was the last time I ate? Am I hungry? And do I just need food? So go through a couple of questions and just ask yourself if this is something that you really want. And a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's just because it's there and because it's a forbidden food that you feel like you have to have it right now, right? And by simply hesitating, you can take your power and control back right then and decide that you don't want it. And if that's the case, intervene and put it away, okay? Just put it out of sight so it doesn't continue to become this thing that sets you up for failure. But if you still feel like, I really want those brownies or whatever, then you do an intervention at this point. And that is like step in and distract yourself, because sometimes we just get so focused on it. We think we want it and we really don't. And so maybe go put in a load of laundry, go, put it out of sight and go do something else. Get a big drink of water. We always suggest getting a drink of water and doing something a little bit active, because sometimes that's all your body needs is hydration or a little bit of activity because it wants some energy, okay? If after doing some intervention, you're still like, I'm gonna have a brownie today, then have a brownie, but be intentional about it. And this is when we suggest usually having some kind of protein, especially if you haven't had anything else to eat. So by combining a fast carb like a brownie with a protein, you are going to stabilize your blood sugar so that it doesn't spike your blood sugar. And typically what I'll do, so here's an example. For Mother's Day, my husband brought me home my very favorite donut, which is a fritter. And those things are like 500 calories a piece. And they're my favorite. And he brought it to me at like 8 o'clock at night. And I would have been completely happy to dive into that thing that late at night, but I knew that I would feel really crappy. And so instead of eating it right then in the moment, like I could have wanted to, I just set my intention to enjoy it the next morning. And I decided, okay, I'm going to have it for breakfast. I'm going to eat half of it for breakfast with an egg. And then I'm going to eat the other half as a snack. And I had it all sorted out in my mind how I was going to enjoy that treat. And I did. I had half of it for breakfast with an egg, and I gave the rest to my kids because I was so completely satisfied eating it in that way. So you can have control over those moments where you feel like you're going to lose it over carbs if you just take some simple steps to take your control back. Because number one, it's not forbidden, okay? And if you tell yourself that it's not forbidden, then it's like a little kid when you said don't touch that, and then they just like can't help it, they got to touch it, right? When we tell ourselves we can't have food, we want it more, and we feel more and more and more drawn to it. And we've been telling ourselves that we can't have certain foods for 10 or 15 or 20 years. It becomes a real cycle, right? And so you got to kind of break through that. So that's it on that. Annie,
Okay.
The recap.
So just like quick recap, we've talked about clarity about hopefully you've gained all of these things. Hopefully you've gained clarity about where you are right now, what you want to change, why you want to change. We really hope that you've learned how to look at food a little differently, and that will help you moving forward to lessen the negative self-talk. That's really important to us. And then this action step, like Millie said, wherever you are, whatever your journey, wherever it takes you from here on out, we're really happy for you. And we hope that these things, you can take these tools that we've taught you and and that will help you affect change. And this action step is a game changer, you guys. Like, it has helped me. I use it all the time, just like going for a walk around the block, deciding if I really want something, telling myself I can actually have it. Like, those things are so important and can really have a big impact. So
Yep. So here's the other big thing, and I know we're running tight on time, so we're going to wrap this up. But now that you know what you know, and like we said, go back and do some more of this and really like process some of the information and questions and things that we've asked you. Get deeper into the journaling if you need to. But once you bring this stuff to the surface, and now that you know what you know, what are you going to do with it? You're going to have to decide at this point that if you're going to address this, you've decided to address it, you know where you are now, you know what you want, then you have to decide to take action. And that is completely personal. So if you've done something in the past that really worked for you and you know that you need to go back and do that again, or if you've created some kind of accountability through friends or family and you want to go that, I mean, really like look at what you need on a personal level in order to affect change in your life. I know you guys have heard this quote 100 million times before, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so if what you're doing right now is not currently working for you, then you're going to need to do something different and make change. So it's time to do that, okay? And if it's okay with you, Annie and I just really quickly wanted to share what it is that we're going to be doing if this is something that interests you and you want to participate in it. Well, actually, first, we were going to ask if anybody wanted to share. I know that we're running tight on time, but if you guys found any interesting insights as you were doing this, if there's anything that you wanted to share with the group, we can unmute you.
Or you can share in the chat box.
Yeah, either way. And you can unmute yourself. All you do is you just click the microphone. So if there's anything in there that you want to share or any questions that have kind of come up, ask away. This is seriously my go-to formula when I'm staring at the fridge. Yeah. Me too. I mean, really, because I mean, in all honesty, this doesn't go away. The feelings that you have toward food and things like that, it's not something that necessarily will ever go away, because guess what? Cookies and cakes, they don't go away. Like, they show up every year at birthday parties. It's always going to be in your life, and you need to be able to decide how you're going to handle that. And that's why Annie and I were like, we need something that is a lifestyle. You know, like we tried keto and we tried stuff like that, but there was no way that was sustainable for us long term, and it was making us really mean. And so taking the good and bad labels about myself and food has been very liberating. That's so true. And Andrea has had some really great success on this program. It's been really fun to watch her go through it. I know a few others that are here with us right now also have. It's been really fun. And inside our private group, we do talk a lot, and we share a lot of non-scale victories, which is something else we go over. But if you're someone who tends to be addicted to the scale, it can be a real problem because the scale is not an accurate form of measurement. I think we've had, even this last group, we had a couple of different girls that either lost only 1 pound in 8 weeks or gained a pound in 8 weeks, but they dropped like 12 inches in their body composition. And so it's really cool. Definitely sustainable. Can see myself doing it for a lifetime. Yeah, totally. I don't know who said that because it just says iPhone. Oh no, that's Jessica. Jessica's had awesome results too. Yes. Can still eat the foods you love without feeling obsessed or deprived. Totally. Heidi went to Portland over the weekend and brought an omelet the size of a football. It was really liberating to be able to move that into the formula, so I didn't just eat all of it. Yeah, and that's we get into that in program a little bit more, but the portions are an important piece of it. But you never feel hungry because you're combining it with a variety of foods. Your portions can be smaller, and you still feel so good. And Emily, go ahead and just unmute yourself.
I would just wanted to say something about the like the first exercise where we list where we're at in our location, because that for me, I've now been doing this for almost 13 weeks. And I feel like that was the big change moment for me when I realized where I was at, and that my real motivation, my real fear behind stuff, and the why I didn't like myself, why I didn't like my body and the where I was at, was because I was afraid of failing again. It was that whole, I know it's not going to be sustainable. I know I can't keep this up. But as I've thought about it over the last like 13 weeks, it has been. And it, as Andrea said, it's totally changed my relationship with food. Like I go out to eat and I don't have those thoughts of, oh, I'm bad, or, oh, I can't eat this. And I now notice it with my friends. When we go do stuff, they say things like, oh, you're so good because you're eating this, or, oh, you're not eating that. And I just want to like shake them and say, no, it's not good. It's not bad. It's just food, and it's okay.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it really is true, because what I noticed when I started living this lifestyle is that I ate healthier because I knew that I could enjoy a treat whenever I really wanted it. And so then I didn't feel like I needed to eat treats all the time. Like I didn't feel drawn to it all the time. And so it made healthier choices. And I don't know if that's I think that's kind of what you're saying too, right, Emily? Like it's easier to eat healthier when you don't feel like you have to deprive yourself of treats.
Absolutely.
Have one when you want it. So it's been really fun to watch Emily's results, and she's our sweaty selfie girl. She's so good at like posting her workouts and stuff. We've really appreciated everybody who has participated in our private group. Is there anybody else that wanted to share anything before we wrap up? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move on. If it's okay with you, we just really quickly wanted to share what we are doing. If this is something that you would be interested in participating in, we'd love to have you. We, at the request of our private group, because they all started wrapping up their 8-week challenge, and they're like, we want more accountability. So Annie and I put together, we're going to do a summer accountability challenge starting June 3rd. Within our private group. And you do have to have the program in order to do that. But what this will give you is it'll give you full access to our 8-week course. And people do this at a different pace. And so if it takes you 10 or 12 weeks to do the 8 weeks, that's okay. We have some people that spend 2 weeks in one area, and that's great. That's the great thing about it. You can just move through this at your own pace. But it also will include a diet-free life manual, which has diagrams and pictures of everything you need to know about the Fat Burn 5. Then the support group that I was just talking about in our private Facebook group, where we're going to be doing this accountability challenge in there too. So like we're going to have some contests, and it's not going to be really complicated, because we also get that summertime is crazy, schedules are crazy. So this is just a simple way of keeping yourself accountable by just check. There's going to be 4 things on the list, and you just, every time you check off that you did it, then you get a point. And we're going to be splitting people into teams. And at the end of each month, we're going to be giving out prizes to the winning team who has the most points. And I just want to say too that none of those points will be based on inches lost or pounds lost. It's all about accountability, whether or not you did whatever you set your goal to do, okay? The other thing that you get is you get a lot of mindset tools, getting out of that diet mentality and finding a healthy, happy relationship with food and with fitness. We're going to teach some really basic fitness fundamentals to teach you how to create a routine that you can tailor to your own needs, and that starts from where you are. And then it also just comes with a free 20-minute consultation with us. And so this values at about $446 for all of these things. But we're going to give it to you guys for $147. And so for anybody who wants to join, if you want to bring a friend in, this is a great way to be accountable during the summer. I know we have a tendency to be like, well, summer's here. I don't have time to do anything. I can't cook meals, whatever. It's a great time to just be accountable and do something that's as simple as this, because you can go to a barbecue and eat the Fat Burn 5, and you can go to a birthday party and eat the Fat Burn 5, and you can go to Portland, or you can go on a family vacation and still be eating fat burning meals. And that is what I absolutely love about it. So don't let summer deter you from reaching your goals and doing more with whatever it is that you want to do. And we're so glad that you joined us. We're going to wrap up. I know we ended up a few minutes late today. So real quick, were there any other questions? I just want to open it up one more time.
So where do you go to sign up?
Oh, thank you. I'm going to put the link. I'm going to put it in the chat box right now, but I got to stop share to do that. So
Can you share the link too in the event on Facebook?
Yeah. Yep, I'll share the link in the event on Facebook, and I'll put it on our in our Facebook pages and stuff like that too. So yeah.
So those of us who are social media challenged, or that is to say, don't understand where to find events and all that stuff. So where do you find it? Under what heading? Moms Need Carbs?
Momsneedcarbs.com, I think.
Event.
It's actually momsneedcarbs.com/the program is the actual program link. But I'm going to put the link in right now.
Okay, so it's actually not on the Facebook page. It's on the momsneedcarbs.com.
It's in both. So you can find it. You can go to the website momsneedcarbs.com/the program, or you can we have the link on Facebook in a couple of places, but we'll make sure it's in the event and on our business page so that
Okay. And so to rewatch this, because I invited a couple friends who I would love for them to do it at the same time as me. So, okay, will there be on the momsneedcarbs.com, the program, will that also have the
The recording will be in a couple of places on Facebook, right, Mel?
Yeah, I might send the recording out in an email.
Okay.
But I just put the link in the chat box. So anybody can grab that right now and save it if you want. And then, like I said, we'll post that all over the place. So you'll have it. If you want to share it with your friends or whatever, or message us. Just send us a quick message if you want to share it with someone, whatever.
But you guys,
okay.
Thank you so much for taking this time in the middle of the day. May is so crazy. I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm in the thick of preschool program, graduation, whatever. So we know it's so busy right now, and we just really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for an hour. It's been a lot of fun.
Yep. Let's do this. Heidi said, let's do this together. I have some specific goals and need accountability. And I mean, same for me, actually. I want to kind of step up some things in my own accountability with fitness and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we really encourage you guys to invite your friends. And I mean, we're doing this for our entire group. So whether or not more people come in and how that works, it doesn't really matter. We're really excited to just split you guys into teams and have a little bit of fun with this in a way that, so you'll be in a group of 5 and you'll have these 5 women that you can really count on to keep you accountable. And so let's totally do this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And prizes, because I mean, we already decided our prize for next month is going to be the team of 5 that wins the accountability challenge for the month of June will get a bag of, I don't have one in here to show you, JoJo's. They're like this delectable dark chocolate. And it's huge. It's like from Costco. So it's not tiny. It's like a nice big prize. So anyway, jump in and join. It'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's it. Message us if you can't find the link or you need any help or questions or whatever. We're here. We're here for you. So, okay, guys. Thanks. We'll catch you later.